Hey everybody, welcome back to the MDMC 20 Facebook Live series where I sit down with some of our amazing speakers and panelists that will be at the 2020 Midwest Digital Marketing Conference. And we talk about some of the really hot topics in marketing right now and what you can expect from at the conference. My name is Brianna Smith. I am the Executive Director of the Midwest Digital Marketing Conference, and I am really excited today to have an awesome speaker and guest, Mr. Tony Gnau. Tony is the founder and chief storytelling officer, love that title, at T60 Productions. He's a three-time award-winning journalist Emmy award-winning journalist and has led T60 Productions to winning 17 Telly Awards for its corporate videos. Tony has written over 700 blog posts on video marketing, and he also speaks on the subject to communications professionals at conferences such as MDMC, and also Content Marketing World and Content Jam. I am really excited for us to chat with Tony today and talk about the awesomeness of video marketing, because we all know that's where the power of marketing is nowadays. So hey, Tony, how are you doing?
I'm good. Thanks for having me today. I appreciate it.
Of course, we're so excited to have you both here and at the conference.
Great.
Uh, awesome. So I am here again in St. Louis. Tony, where are you joining us from?
Joining you from Milwaukee, Wisconsin.
Oh, it's a little northern, a little more northern than
Yep.
us. So you'll be coming down south to see us. Awesome. So we're all over the country, and I know you guys joining in are all over the country as well. So tell us where you're joining in. We'd love to know. And if you have any questions about the conference or about video marketing or just a random question for Tony or myself, throw it into the comments and we will answer it. And if you're watching this in the replay, throw it in the comments anyway, and we will make sure to check in with you and get you an answer. All right, Tony, can you tell us a little bit more about what you do as the Chief Storytelling Officer at T60 Productions and about T60 Productions?
Sure. Well, T60 Productions, very small video production company. We were born in Chicago. We moved north up to Wisconsin, or I shouldn't say we moved, I should say we expanded to Wisconsin about 4.5 years ago. And so we have an office in Chicago. We have an office here in Milwaukee. We're now based out of Milwaukee. And, we travel the country telling companies and organizations stories. It's a lot of fun. We've shot in 26 states and one Canadian province. And yeah, we tell their stories and help them communicate the messages they need to get out.
Awesome. So exciting, and just love that storytelling. And also shout out to Brad Friedman, who is joining us from Denver. Hey, Brad. Hopefully it's not too cold there. I don't know about Milwaukee. We're having
I was just shooting in Denver last week, as a matter of fact.
Oh, very cool. Denver is gorgeous. So we'll all go meet out there one day. Awesome. So we're going to dive into some questions now. Again, if you guys have any questions, throw them in the comments. We'd love to chat with you guys. But I'm going to dive into some of my video questions. So I think a lot of people get kind of confused about, what types of videos that they should do, and they're just not even sure kind of where to get started. So what types of videos should companies, organizations in general, kind of be focusing on producing?
Well, I mean, I don't think you're alone in terms of being overwhelmed. I mean, really, the types of videos that we do are really kind of unlimited. The only thing that limits us is our own imagination. And I think that's why it can be a little overwhelming to people. But I think, kind of the videos that I always recommend that businesses or organizations start with are kind of like some core videos. And the first one is the About Us video. When somebody comes to your website, they click on your About page, you should have a video there telling them who you are, what you do, and maybe even why you do it. That's a great core video to have. The About Us video, I mean, super powerful because it can be used in a lot of different ways. So that's a great one to have. It's the one video that I tell people, if you haven't produced a video yet, that's the one to start with. And I love it so much because it's really kind of the first impression video. A lot of people will watch that video before they ever get in contact with the company. So this is your opportunity to get in front of them and actually speak with people before they ever contact you. So it's really that first impression video. So it's a really good one to do. And then the others, I mean, product and service videos are huge. If you just Google video statistics,
Mhm.
video statistics, a lot of those statistics that you'll come up with are focused on product and service videos. And the bottom line is people want them.
Yep.
They want to see videos about your products and services and understand what you're offering the world. Important videos to do because people are really clamoring for them. And then the finals of the sort of core videos that I always recommend are testimonials. If you can produce a
Yes.
testimonial video, I don't know if there's a more powerful marketing tool that you can really have in your tool belt than a good testimonial video. I mean, as marketers, we get excited when we get a testimonial
Oh,
from somebody. I mean,
yes.
when you can get that in actual video form where we can see and hear from the person who's giving the testimonial, and if you can tell their story to boot and
Yes.
get people relating to that person giving the testimonial, man, I mean, that is just fantastic
Gold.
stuff.
Yes.
Absolute gold. Yeah. So those are really kind of the three core videos that I typically recommend to people: the About Us video, product or service video, and then the testimonial.
Awesome. I definitely agree there. I mean, and you can reuse those videos across everything, your website and social media and ads. And, it's not like you're just going to use it once. Now we
No.
have a great question from Brad. Again, thanks, Brad. What are the best practices for length of a business video, and what do you think about adding some humor to video? And when does that make sense to
Sure.
add humor?
Well, actually, let's touch on the humor one first, and then
Okay.
we'll go to it. I mean, I love it if you can add some humor to a video. But what I would say is think about sort of your brand and
Hmm.
the image of your brand that you're putting out to the world. If it's serious in nature, a serious product or service, or something along those
Hmm.
lines, you might not want to use humor. It might be sort of counter to what you're offering or whatever, so that might not be a good idea. But if your brand has some flexibility,
Hmm.
and that, then if you can incorporate humor, fantastic. The one thing I will say is, though, humor is one of the toughest things to do, even
Yeah.
for professionals.
Yeah.
So what you might think is funny, the rest of the world might not
Yeah.
necessarily. So it's
You-
tricky to do, but if you can do it and do it well, I mean,
Mm.
I think it's fantastic. It's
Yeah.
now, as for video length, this is probably the number one question that I get
Mhm.
asked by everybody everywhere: is how long should the video be? And there's no easy answer to give. I wish I could just say it should be 1 minute and 15 seconds long. Go
Yeah.
for it. It just doesn't work that way. The thing that I always consider the most when I'm considering video length is, first, where are we going to be showing this video? Is this
Mhm.
video, like, is the main purpose of it to be at our website? And if that's the case, it can be a little bit longer because the
Mhm.
same whole situation. People have
Yeah.
come to us, and so they're interested in us. We can maybe spend a little extra time and give them a little extra information. As opposed to, is it a social media video? If it's a
Mhm.
social media video, we're pushing it on people. And so we want it to be shorter. And so
Yep.
the sort of generic lengths that I'll give is, if you're in a push situation, you want it to be 1 minute or less. If it's a
Okay.
pull situation, like I said, you have a little more flexibility. I usually try to keep them 2 minutes or less. But I
Okay.
mean, you have a really good story that's worth telling,
Mhm.
uh, then you can even go 3 minutes, 3.5 minutes. I mean, it's really the quality of your story that is
Yeah.
probably important in those circumstances more than anything.
Awesome. Well, thanks for those are some great tips. And I mean, I totally agree. I mean, our attention spans are short, so we don't need a big old movie, as our About Us video.
It's funny though, because I mean, yeah, you're right, but I mean, I always, if the story is good, it doesn't
Mhm.
matter how long it is.
Yeah.
I mean, you can think about movies that you've seen, and it's like, you go to see, some classic movie, that's 3 hours long, and the whole 3 hours you're just captivated by
Yeah.
it. You walk out of the theater and you're like, man, I can't believe that movie was 3 hours long. But you could go see Deuce Bigelow, and
Yeah.
you're like, well, man, I'm never getting that hour and 20 minutes
Yeah.
back. So, I mean, it's really
Yeah.
about the quality of the story that's
Yeah.
most important. And I mean, we see more and more brands that are doing longer videos
Mhm.
and, documentary length videos and stuff, because if they have a captivating subject and there's an audience that is interested in it and the
Yep.
story is good, people will watch.
Yes, definitely, for sure. I mean, if if it's interesting, I'll sit and watch it. But you gotta catch my attention. You gotta keep it.
Absolutely. Well,
Can't lose it.
one of the things I've pointed out to people in the past is, I mean, probably the greatest, in my opinion, one of the greatest brand video series ever are the Lego movies.
Oh my God, I love the
All of these
Lego
movies,
movies.
that's content marketing.
I love the Lego movies.
Lego produced videos that are movies and released
Yes,
them. So they're getting
it
people to
is.
pay to watch their content marketing.
Yep,
I mean,
you're right. I never thought of it that way. They're
yeah,
just good,
full length
funny
movies.
movies.
And I mean, it's like the greatest video marketing series of all time, or the Lego.
I love that. I'm not, my marketing mind is in it, but then I'm also, this is a really funny
Yeah,
movie to watch with my nieces. I'm like, I will watch any Lego movie with them.
they're
Um,
terrific.
but that is, I mean, it really is content marketing. You're reaching those kids, you're reaching those parents.
Yeah.
Oh, that's too funny. Um, So obviously we're not all Lego. We can't
No,
all
no.
create the movies, but when we're trying to come up with topics and what we should kind of plan our videos around, what are some things that people should focus on when they're producing their videos?
Hmm. Well, I mean, it's funny because I mean, we've talked a little bit about story
Mhm.
already. I mean, one of the things that I think really drives many of the good videos that we see are the characters who are in them.
Mhm.
And I say characters because we want people with character
Yeah,
in our videos.
yeah.
And so it's like the content is super important, but just as important as the content itself are the people that we see in them. Because as audience members, they're the ones who we're going to connect with. And if it's somebody that we like and feel like that we can connect with, then that's going to make the content that much more accessible for us,
Hmm.
to us. And so I think that, some things that people, sort of they think about, but they don't maybe give enough emphasis to, are who they're going to put in their videos. And what I always
Yeah.
suggest to people is, I mean, I am far more interested in, the type of person, their personality, than I am their position. You know,
Hmm.
so it's like, our first instinct at a lot of, when we do a lot of videos is, well, we got to get the CEO in there, or the president
Yeah.
of the company, or, whoever it might be. And if they have to be in it, I mean, that's fine, but if we're selecting who's going to be
Hmm.
in that video and we have first choice, and I always say, who's the person you see walking down the hallway that just puts a smile on your
Yeah.
face? That as soon
I
as
like that.
you just smile, like everybody at the company feels that way about that person. That's who you want in your video.
Hmm.
That's the type of person that you want to put in your video. And if they're not in the perfect position, as far as
Yeah.
the is concerned, I mean, we can help them with talking points and stuff. I
Yeah.
mean, what we want is that those bright personalities, and so that's what people should really be focused on when they're
Mhm.
producing their videos, is who are these people we're going to put in there, who's likable, that everybody's going to really
Yeah.
light up when they see. And so that's what we need to do. And then as far as the content goes, I mean, you know, facts and figures are great for things like blog posts. They're
Yeah.
great for things like infographics. They're not what you want in your videos. And I understand that it's like we have all sorts of great facts and figures
Yeah.
and data at our disposal these days, but video is an emotional medium. It's
Yep.
not, what I tell people is, we're going after people's hearts. We're not going after their brains.
Yeah.
And so facts and figures, while you can certainly throw some in here and there, don't be super focused on that sort of thing. We're really more interested in telling the story of whatever it
Mhm.
is. And you can use some facts and figures to support that story, but you really need to figure out what the story is and what's going to connect with people, because that's what the medium of video is all about.
Definitely. Yeah, definitely. I mean, focus on the emotion. This is your like your first chance to like really build that connection with people. So I agree. And um I guess a tip I would think of, whether or not you agree, but if you have to have your CEO, prep them, don't, like practice, get them to loosen up, don't, so they get there and then they're so like nervous and it might come off not always the best, but,
Right.
or anyone who's in it,
Yeah,
um, you know,
absolutely.
the more you practice and you're comfortable with it, the more natural you are, I'm sure the better it looks on camera.
Right. Yeah. Well, and I mean, hopefully, whoever is going to be on camera is going to be, at least an expert in whatever that they're talking about. I mean,
Mhm.
sometimes we, put somebody in who maybe might not have the talking points, and we help
Yeah.
them along. But in most cases, it's going to be somebody who really knows and understands, what they're talking about. So what I usually try to do to get them to sort of loosen up is just help them understand, we're doing this video for your company. So we're not here to
Yeah.
make you look bad in any way.
Yeah.
We're here to make you and the company look good. And B, this is what you do every day. We're not
Yeah.
here to quiz you on something that you don't know
Like,
about.
yeah.
This is
You're
what
not
you
showing up
talk
for a randandom test. Like this is
about.
the
This is what
content.
you do every single day, and that's where. And if we ask you something that you don't know the answer to, then guess what? We just don't use it.
Mhm.
That's
Yeah,
what
this
the
isn't
editing room
live
floor is
like
for.
this. Most video is not live like we're doing right now, and you can
Exactly.
redo it. You can redo your answer.
You bet.
Awesome. So we got another great question from Brad. So thoughts about highly edited and produced video versus more relaxed videos for that first impression video that you talked about earlier.
Sure. And I again, I kind of think it goes back to your brand and honestly your audience. It's funny that he asked this question because I was actually just talking to one of our customers today, and they were talking about that. In the past, we've done a lot of very sort of stylized, highly
Mhm.
produced videos for them, and they were, really sort of insistent that this next video that or series of videos we're gonna do for them, they want to be much more raw and
Mhm.
authentic
Yeah.
looking. And it's mainly because of their audience. They feel like their audience for these particular videos will appreciate something that isn't quite as highly produced.
Mhm.
So when it comes to the style of video that you're going to do, think about that audience. Think about what they're
Yeah.
going to want to see, and then tailor your style toward the audience. A lot of times we get hung up on what we want, and the most important consideration is what does the audience want? Because
Mhm.
this isn't our video. It's not our video. It's our
Yeah.
audience's video.
Yep.
And so that's a big consideration. So if you're trying to decide between highly produced, stylized, professional, cinematic looking
Mhm.
videos versus something that's a little more raw or a little more DIY looking, it should be that your audience should be giving you the clue as to which of those you should be doing.
Could it also depend on like what the video is? Like, is it like the about video or the testimonial video or the product video? Do you feel
Sure.
like one style is better, or it's still? I mean, obviously, it still depends on audience, but I don't know if one is
Oh,
typically
yeah,
better.
absolutely. I mean, I think that's also a consideration. I mean,
Mhm.
like when I talk to people about DIY videos, the
Mhm.
sort of I actually highly encourage organizations to do DIY
Mhm.
videos in certain
Yeah.
circumstances. And you're kind of touching on, like, if you're going to do an about us video, I mean, unless you are a startup or have zero marketing budget at all, if
Mhm.
you're producing an about us video, you should have professionals do it.
Yeah.
It should be a professional looking video because, again, this is your first impression video,
Mhm.
and you want to create a great first impression. You want to look and seem professional.
Mhm.
And if you put up there a video that doesn't look professional, it makes
Yeah.
you not look professional. And so,
Mhm.
so you're absolutely right. If you're doing that about us video, that's a pro style video.
Yeah.
But like if you're doing a short social media video of some sort,
Mhm.
if you're doing a Facebook Live or
Yeah.
something along those lines, absolutely, it can be a little
Mhm.
bit more raw. It can be a little more DIY. There's no problem with that because, again, it is kind of in your audience's eyes. They understand what they're watching. Audiences are
Yep.
savvy these days. They get it.
Yeah.
They know that something that is just a short social media video that they see on TikTok or Instagram
Mhm.
or anything like that. They understand that those are not going to be these highly produced videos. So no matter what the scope of your brand is, you can do something that's DIY looking or a little bit more raw in those circumstances.
Yeah, and obviously it depends on your brand, like you said, but I even think it was like you're doing something like this live. It's almost better the more DIY and like real it is, because when it looks a little too professional, like you're live, everybody knows that's supposed to be, a little more go with the flow and just kind of going with it. And I feel like when I see the ones that look like they have an entire production, I'm kind of like, I feel like this should have just been uploaded, like recorded and uploaded. It shouldn't be live.
Right, right. Yeah, I mean, it's funny because when we're talking about stuff like this, a lot of common sense goes a long way.
Yeah.
Like, really, if you give it some thought and
Yeah.
kind of think about your audience and where you're showing it, and these, all of a sudden it's like, yeah, okay, we can do something that's a little more
Yeah.
raw. Maybe that's more appropriate for this situation. And so
Yeah.
I think, when you start thinking about it in those terms, common sense kind of kicks in and makes it kind of obvious what you should be doing.
Yeah, definitely. Now, do you find that there's like any really common mistakes that people make when producing marketing videos? The only one that pops in my head is maybe if like they're not matching, like if all their blogs and their website are a super serious tone, and then they make this little DIY video that's like completely relaxed, and that you're not matching your tone of voice across your different
Sure.
marketings
Oh, yeah.
things. That's the one that pops in my head as we're just discussing these different types.
Yeah, I mean, it's funny on the production side of things, when it comes to like DIY videos, the biggest mistake people make are thinking that it's all about the camera and they completely neglect the audio. The easiest
Oh
way
yeah.
to spot an amateur video is by the audio. And
Mm,
so that, when people are doing their own DIY stuff, that's the first thing that they should be thinking about is how are we going to capture the audio and do that well, because that goes a long way in terms of improving the actual video. But honestly, I think the biggest mistake that most people make when it comes to their videos is just not having a plan. Somebody at the
nope.
company stood up and said, "Let's do a video." And everybody's like, "Yeah, let's do a video." But they don't really have a plan for what they're gonna, for what the video's for, who the audience is, how they're gonna use it, how they're gonna incorporate it on their website, their marketing. Like, they haven't thought about any of that stuff. And that's really the biggest mistake that people make. Because, I mean, you can produce the greatest video that's ever been produced, but if nobody sees it, what's the point?
Yeah.
And so you have to have a plan for when you produce. It doesn't, I mean,
It
look,
seems simple, but you
I'm
need
a,
to plan.
I'm a creative guy. So, I mean, I love the idea of, having it be authentic and let's be natural and let's
Mhm.
let it all be organic. Like, I love that. But you should have at least some sort of basic plan of, who's our audience, who's going to be in the video, where are we going to show it,
Yeah.
how are we going to use it once it's done, and then actually do it.
Yes.
Because what happens is a lot of people get all excited. They get this brand new video and they're all excited about it and they share it all over the place for 2 months and then nothing.
Yeah.
It just becomes this piece of content that they created at one point and they don't continue to promote it in any way. And
Yeah.
that's not what you need to be doing. You need to continue to promote these videos and have a plan for that promotion for however long the shelf life of that video is going to be. You need to keep promoting it, keep using it, and find different ways to use it. Like a lot of times, I mean, you mentioned, like we might produce something for our website, an about us video for our website. There are lots of different ways that you can repurpose that about us video and start looking at your marketing funnel. Where would it be a good fit for our, where we could throw that in to our funnel at some point? Or, is there a way we can share it in proposals that we're sending out to people? I mean, there's all sorts of ways, once you have this piece of content, now figure out how can we use this piece of content? And it doesn't have to be the one way that you thought of when you initially got into it.
Yeah, I mean, I can only agree 100% with everything you just said. Um, Most of all, have a plan, both
Yes.
before and after you create the video. All right, we're gonna grab one more comment question, and then I'm gonna give you guys a sneak peek about what you can expect at MDMC 20. So our next question is getting into the weeds a bit. Can you talk about the different types of effective backgrounds? They see a lot of bookcase backgrounds, the obvious green screen. You can change it to whatever. What are your thoughts on using different backgrounds?
Well, I mean, I think it kind of depends on what the video is
Hmm.
and what you're doing. I mean, I know, most of the videos we're doing are really storytelling based. We're in real environments as opposed to using a green screen or something like that. What I'm looking for in a background is what's going to blend in. What are
Hmm.
people not going to notice? What looks nice. I like to tell about that is when we first came up to Wisconsin and started producing videos up here. We're Chicago natives, and I started doing an interview with somebody, and they had a little miniature Green Bay Packers helmet that was
Yeah.
kind of like in the background of when we started shooting. And I like stopped the interview, got up, took the little helmet, moved it out of the frame, and came back. And the guy looked around and he's like, well, what'd you take my Packers helmet out for? And I said, well, this video, your audience is here in Wisconsin. You got the Packers helmet in the background. So now all of a sudden you pop up, they see the Packers helmet. They're thinking about whether or not Aaron Rodgers is hurt this week, if the Packers are going to be in
Hmm.
the playoffs. And meanwhile, you're talking and they're not hearing anything that you're
Yep.
saying because you have this thing in the background that's now distracting them. And he's like,
Hmm.
wow, that's really, I would have never thought of something.
Just small things like that.
Yeah.
Yep.
We're also from Chicago, and we just
I
can't
don't want it. I don't want it there.
get laugh. It's really the first thing. I mean, you just don't want
Yeah.
something in the background that's going to distract your audience.
Hmm.
So I like it to be something that looks nice, looks natural to where you're at, but really just kind of blends in and people don't pay attention to. Green screens are great for if you need to convey information or something like that. If you're going to be a talking head and you're going through things and you need to list things off, you can put it on the green screen in the background. That's great. But on storytelling stuff, I prefer no green screen and to use natural environments. But it's really a personal preference thing. I don't think there's necessarily a right or a wrong answer as long as it's not distracting, no matter what it is.
Awesome. All right, so we are going to dive into a little sneak peek of what you can expect at the Midwest Digital Marketing Conference coming up next month, which is crazy. And then we're going to dive into some more about video marketing and what you can expect from Tony's session. All right, let's take a look.
Ed Reggie here with the Midwest Digital Marketing Conference 2019. Tell me in your own words, why did you come here to St. Louis, Missouri at this conference?
I like this one because it's a little more intimate for me, right? There's tons of content here. There's a lot of folks that are here, but even just last night, I was able to connect with brands that I know of that are here, and I would have never sort of expected them to be here.
I'm interested in marketing communications just because I study political communication. So I've studied how candidates use advertising in their election campaigns. And of course, now they're using social media.
I think in general, conferences are about learning new things. It's a place outside of the classroom where you can actually see what people are doing, how it works. So for, one of the biggest marketing things in the country in St. Louis, it was perfect.
My favorite part about this conference is that people are here to learn. They're super approachable. They have wonderful conversations. I just think it's a conference where you can come in and soak up so much in 48 hours.
We've enjoyed very much being here. It's a vibrant conference, well attended, great questions. Honored to be here.
It's been really wonderful to be able to hear not only the different geographical places people have come from, but the huge brands that are traveling to be able to attend these sessions and these events. And a lot of these brands have attended year after year, so they're really seeing great value to do that.
It's the fact that they truly care about their local community and that they can make me feel inspired to come be part of it all the way from Florida. There's something happening that's special with that.
I think it's just important for us to support initiatives that are here. I think typically typically with things like that, so with all of the amazing brands and companies, we will have to usually hop on a plane to get to that.
We're trying to create a community here, and a lot of people have told me, wow, this is almost like a community. I feel like I meet a lot of great people, new friends. We're all working hard to make this happen, kind of for St. Louis, and to create that atmosphere.
All right. So there was a little sneak peek of what you can expect at this year's Midwest Digital Marketing Conference. Some of our past speakers and attendees and sponsors.
I was actually in there.
You were?
If you blinked, you missed it.
I'm sorry, I blinked.
There was a probably a 1 second shot of the panel that I was on last year.
Awesome. Well, Tony will be joining us again this year, and he's going to be on a very in-demand panel about driving business results with video. So can you tell us a little bit about what people can expect to learn on your panel?
Well, I mean, I think one of the great things about, panels is that, I'm sure we'll be taking questions. So if somebody has a question, they'll be able to ask. I know one of the things that I'll probably be focusing on is, I sort of hinted at there in our discussion earlier, and that is just having a plan for what you're going to do with these videos. And I'm a big believer in figuring out ways to incorporate your videos into your marketing funnel or your flywheel, whatever you like to call it, because video will drive people through that funnel. It'll help them on their way through that funnel. And a lot of times I think that everybody just sort of thinks of video and thinks of social media and things like that, but there's so many different applications for it. And what's great is that there's probably applications for the videos in what you're already doing, so it doesn't even take something new for you to get into. It's, well, we have this piece of content that we're using in our marketing funnel. Could we incorporate a video into that piece of content? And, so there's very minimal work that has to be done. And, as long as you have that video content, you can incorporate it in different ways. So that's a lot of what I will probably focus my comments on.
Awesome. And I love that. So, it's definitely, this kind of going into my next question about who should attend your session, because there's like 90 something sessions. So a lot to choose from. But not just if you're not sure how to make video, but how to use that video that you create. I know, Tony, you just talked about before we watched a video about how, you create this and you need to make sure you don't just use it and then just let it kind of die and not,
Right.
And I think that sometimes people are like, oh, I know we need video, but it's not even just making the video, it's using it and continuing to use it and have it work for you long term.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, I mean, I think we're all trying to create as much evergreen content as possible. And video is an investment in a lot of cases. And so sometimes there's some trepidation even there as to, do we want to spend money on this when we know we're going to have to redo it in a year or 2 years or whatever it might be? So, I mean, we can even talk a little bit about that, because I mean, there's plenty of different, I talked about those core videos, the About Us video, the product and service videos and testimonials. You can absolutely make those videos evergreen, and so that you can use them for at least, 2, 3, 4 years or something.
Yeah.
You might want to start updating them or anything. So I think that can be a hurdle for a lot of people as well. And, it's something that can be dealt with, and people shouldn't be worried about, what am I going to do with this? And, is there only, this one use that we're interested, you can do a lot with videos, and there's a lot of great ways to repurpose and use them. And I'm sure we're going to be talking a lot about that.
Awesome. All right. So, I mean, there's so many topics that you are definitely going to learn about at this panel. Do you feel like it applies to anyone in particular that might be attending, such as B2B or B2C, early in their career?
It's funny. I mean, I think that B2B, B2C, I think, it's going to apply to just about anybody in terms of that sort of thing. I think how in depth we get is really going to be dependent on who actually shows up. Because I mean, if we get a bunch of people who are like, this is all 101 stuff and we're kind of beyond that, like we can go above that. But I mean, I think there's going to be, if somebody is new to video and they're not quite sure where to start, I think they can definitely come to this panel and get questions answered and starting points to go from. I think we'll probably cover some basics on just video production in general, but then we'll also get into the how to use them and how to make a plan and things like that. So I think entry-level people will probably get something out of it. I think people who are a little more advanced will probably get something out of it as well. But again, one of the great things about like the panels and stuff is that I'm sure we'll be taking questions, and at the very least we'll be available after it's over. So if somebody has a specific question that they want to ask, they can come right up to us and ask us those questions.
Yeah.
And that's what.
Awesome. Yeah, I mean, that's definitely what I really enjoy about panels too. It's going to go where the crowd goes, and no matter what level you're at, you can ask your question and you have the experts in front of you and they're ready to help you, whether you've created 100 videos or if you've created no videos. These are the experts that you want to talk to and learn from.
Definitely.
When you're not on your panel, who are you excited to see this year at the conference? And maybe be checked in. Someone sees you in the video of our next promo video.
Honestly, I mean, one of the great things about speaking at a conference is getting to attend the conference.
Yeah.
I don't have any one particular thing or one particular person that I'm interested in. I know one of the things that jumped out at me was just building your own brand. And a personal brand and things like that. Yeah. I saw some different sessions on that. That's something that I've been working on personally, and so I'll be interested in checking out when I'm there.
Yeah, awesome. So yeah, I mean, definitely. I mean, there's sessions. Obviously, we've been talking about video, but on personal branding. So whether you're an entrepreneur, we got content marketing and social media marketing and hiring and your career in marketing. And if it's marketing related, I'm pretty sure we have a session that's covering it at MDMC. But you guys, we are just over a month out. I am almost at that 30-day mark and only slightly freaking out. And oh, great comment. We got Tom Harness. He's going to be on our personal branding panel. Hey, Tom. I agree. That's going to be another panel you want to see. None of our panels conflict, so you can hit them all if you want, just one after another, and ask your questions. But yeah, so we're 30 days out. MDMC will be here in St. Louis, April 9th and 10th, with workshops on the 8th. Tickets are only $199, and that gets access to all of the sessions, keynotes, exhibitor hall, all that fun stuff. So you can see everything. You're not like just cornered off into a little area. You get full access. So I definitely recommend, of course, total plug, check out MDMC, and make sure to check out the video panel. If you guys have any questions about video, from I'm just getting started to we've created awesome videos, but I don't know how to use them. I don't know how to properly use them. Awesome. Well, thank you, everyone, for your awesome questions. I love when we get lots of comments and questions. And thank you so much, Tony, for joining us. And we're so excited to have you back at MDMC again this year. And hopefully you will pop up in another video.
Fantastic.
All right. Awesome. So we're going to take a quick little sneak peek actually from our title sponsor that you guys will see a big announcement going out. Agora Pulse is our fabulous MDMC 20 sponsor. And then I'm going to give you another little sneak peek at what you can expect to see at MDMC 20. And I look forward to seeing you guys next week at our next Facebook Live. See ya.
To me, is staying in control, to know which employees of mine answers in what amount of time. And also I can create reportings so that clients always are in the know. and understand what is happening and what has happened over the past 30 days, the past month.
I think the biggest value for me and my team is that I can use it with my team, and we're all on the same page and know what's going on inside of the system as we use it.